Welcome to Freezer Milk Podcast. I'm your host, Bridget, along with my husband, Chris. Podcast where we talk about the comedic side and serious side of parenting, life, and relationships. We are boy parents. We have two boys, Enzo and Rhett, with about a 6-year age gap between the two. You can check out our website, freezermilk.com. Also, feel free to follow us on Instagram at Freezer Milk Podcast. Thanks and hope you enjoy. Welcome back.
How's everybody doing this week?
It's been, I feel like this last week was super slow, but super fast.
Yeah, I think the weeks that we don't have Enzo tend to go, like work-wise, go by slow, but go by fast.
Yeah, it was a crazy week for me too. Like I worked, I don't know, 10, 11-hour days, like every day last week.
Yeah, and I felt like I had Rhett way too much.
Yeah.
By Friday, I was struggling.
It was tough. He's struggling too. He had a checkup today, his like 15-month or whatever, and poor guy's cutting 4 molars all at the same time.
Yeah, he's struggling. He wants nothing but mom. He's not wanting to eat. All he wants to do is nurse. He's just not about anybody right now. Yeah. It was the funniest thing in the world. Like, he's pretty familiar with our doctor. I mean, they don't know each other that well, but you know, however much a doctor could possibly know you. But he goes to grab him today and just devastated. And he's not normally like that. Like, the last few trips, he doesn't really do that.
Like, last time he was, like, a little upset, like, more stranger danger. This time he was just
not happy.
Mad. He started, like, shaking. He was crying. Like, he was so mad.
Couldn't catch his breath. He was just...
I know.
Poor guy, man. And he was even struggling with me, and he normally doesn't. Normally, when he's in pain, he cuddles up to me. But today, it's been rough. He hasn't been wanting to do that.
He's had a rough day.
Yeah. So, we're hoping that this is just a next, a day or two. I mean, this started Friday for him. So
yeah, I feel like it was Thursday or Friday.
Just a really long weekend because he didn't want to go do anything. He just wanted to be on you all day in the house. No one touch him, and it was a rough weekend. Really rough weekend. And all last week, I felt like I watched him a lot.
Yeah.
And tried to work, which was really difficult. So
we also this weekend had Father's Day on Sunday.
Yeah, we did.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, you you surprised me with Eggs Benedict and hollandaise sauce, and who knew you could actually do that dairy-free?
Hollandaise sauce that didn't
But she made it happen, and it was delicious, and we hung out all day and watched movie or shows, and pretty awesome.
Talk about the card that Enzo gave you.
Oh yeah, he made me a card. He made me a card, and it basically said "Happy Father's Day to Cree, love Enzo." And then on the inside of it, it's a picture of like what I thought was just an L is actually a couch with an ottoman. Well, I'll come to find out it's actually our couch and ottoman. And then there's a TV with a football field on it. And it's me and him sitting on the couch watching football.
And he made sure to explain that. Like, this is you and I watching football because you love to watch football. It was so perfect.
Yeah, so it was actually a really, really cool card. And it was a good day. We hung out,
It was cute. And then you got more construction stuff and tools for Father's Day because...
Can't have too many tools.
You love it. All of it. Happy Father's Day to all the other dads out there, by the way. I hope that you guys got to have a day where you were loved on and spoiled and all that fun stuff because you deserve it.
Yeah, does anybody else, any of the other fathers that listen to this podcast, know that Father's Day is considered like the 26th holiday? That, it...
Like ranked for like celebration-wise?
Yeah, ranked for celebration. It's the 26th. That means that there's 25 holidays that are better than that are more celebrated than Father's Day. I don't think we get enough credit, guys.
No, definitely not.
I saw a really funny meme about it. It was like Mother's Day, and it was like a woman like winning a beauty pageant with all the girls around her and the tiara going on her head, like, oh my gosh. And then Father's Day is like, what is it? Al Bundy? Ed Bundy? Al Bundy?
Ted, I don't know. Yeah.
Al Bundy? Ed Bundy?
Yeah,
I don't know. You know who I'm talking about, though.
Yeah.
Like, just sitting on a couch by himself alone.
Right.
I was
pretty
like,
much what it is.
I was like, that's pretty accurate.
So, no, but all in all, it was a good day. We got to just relax. It was nice. It was quiet. Except for the irritable baby.
Yeah.
He was so irritable that he actually fell asleep on top of you, which is something that he doesn't ever do.
He hasn't done that in months. Like, he was nursing. He normally falls asleep for a nap around, like, 4 hour. He's in, like, the 4 hour wake window right now. And it was about the 3 hour mark, and he was, like, nursing, which he normally does. And I heard his, like, breathing change, and I looked down. Dude is passed out on me. Like, out on the couch here in the living room. Just passed out. I was like, man, he's really not feeling good.
Yeah, he's struggling.
And then he had some egg today, and...
Yeah,
we warned him it was hot.
Yeah, again, I normally do the morning routine. I do the bedtime routine. Because she gets up in the middle of the night to nurse and
the
whatnot.
daytime.
And I don't have the luxury of boobs that, produce milk. So, this morning I got up. It was early, because the baby gets up at 5:30. And we have our routine. I get coffee and I get him going, wake him up a little bit, and then I feed him breakfast. And typically I feed him an avocado or a banana or something like that and just get him rolling. And we had some leftover eggs from yesterday, so I put them in the microwave and heated them up a little bit. Not too hot. And, well, at least I thought they weren't too hot. And...
like, you felt them and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I pulled them out with my hands, and I broke them up with my hands so we could eat them. Smaller pieces.
Forgot it was with your hand that you are a little numbing.
Yeah. And I put it on his tray, and I said, hey, it's hot, and I blew on it. And I was like, it's a little hot. It's nothing that, like, burnt me or anything like that. Well, he goes and tries to scarf it down and yelps like the most awful sound I've ever heard in my life.
And he sharp inhales.
Turns bright red and inhales. And not only is he burning his mouth with hot egg, but now he's choking on that hot egg. Needless to say, this was all at about 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:15 in the morning. That was enough for my day. At that moment, I was ready to go back to bed and try it again.
Poor guy. I came out. I was like, what is going on? I see you just holding him. He's distraught. You're like, you're up. I'm like, cool. Sounds good. I'll take him. What's happening?
I disappeared into my office, and that was that.
He didn't want to go back in his high chair for like an hour. But then 2 hours later, especially once Enzo was up, because Rhett's in a phase of he's so happy when Enzo's here. He just loves being able to play with him. He loves being able to do whatever Enzo's doing. Rhett's biggest thing right now is he really likes to copy both you and Enzo with whatever you're doing. And so Enzo sat down at the table and was eating breakfast, and so Rhett was like, yeah, okay, I'll go in my high chair. No more traumatic feelings about it. I'm good.
Yeah, speaking of copying things that we're doing, when I'm doing the dishes,
yeah.
He's constantly, if they're clean dishes, or even if they're dirty dishes, I'll put the dishes in and he'll pull them out and start stacking them on the floor. I'm like, I appreciate the help, but...
It drives you crazy.
You're making more work for me. But... what were you saying? What were you saying earlier about Enzo? And you're glad that he's back.
Yeah, I feel in the last month we have rounded that corner into Rhett really likes to play with Enzo.
Mm-hmm.
Before he was just kind of just passive about Enzo being there. Didn't care. He was too young, and now all of a sudden he's like, this kid will play with me.
And they match each other on energy. So
yes.
It's me and you are exhausted, so we're
And so it's we've entered this phase of we love it when Enzo comes back from his dad's, not only just to have him back, but because it gives Rhett someone to play with and Enzo someone to play with. Because Enzo, before when Rhett wouldn't really interact with him, Enzo was just okay, well, I'm bored and you guys are busy with the baby and what do I do? And now I'm like, hey, like, go chill with your brother and, like, play, like, Hot Wheels cars. And they will play for, like, 2 hours. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic.
Right?
It's so great. Like, I was able to walk away and, like, go get changed and stuff and not have the baby scream bloody murder that I left the room.
And you remember for a while there, Enzo didn't want to play with him.
Yeah.
Because he was too loud and he didn't really, like, enjoy playing with him.
Yeah.
But I think now that he's getting more mobile and he's getting...
more like animated vocal, like personalities coming out.
He's definitely more hands-on, and he's just, I think that Enzo appreciates it.
It was like Enzo carried into bed tonight, and like Rhett was like cracking up.
Yeah.
Till we got to his room, then he realized like, oh, it's bedtime. Never mind. Not funny.
Then he lost it, but it's the little things. We talk a lot about the struggles, and we talk about how parenting is. It's tough and it's exhausting. It's emotional. It's all these different things, but you just gotta kind of learn to take your wins when you get them, because that's definitely a win for us, I think. And we have little wins here and there, especially with Rhett. And
it's just so cool, like right now, to see that. We were in the car earlier, and like Rhett loves to like look over and see Enzo because he's rear facing, so he can like see him really easily.
Right.
And so he like, like squawked at Enzo like, wah! And Enzo was like, Rhett Holden. And Rhett just got silent and then kind of peered past his car seat and like smirked at him and then started giggling.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see their bond actually, because again, when he was a baby, they didn't really have that. Enzo wasn't really into it.
Yeah, like Enzo loved him, but they weren't like they're bonding as brothers now.
Yeah,
which is really cool to see.
No,
like Enzo brought it up tonight. He was like, Rhett, you have something I didn't when I was a baby. And I was like, what's that? He was like, well, Rhett has a brother, like a big brother. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I didn't have that. I didn't have a sibling to play with. I was like, that's right. I was like, I love that, for you guys. Enzo still talks about that. They're going to like live together when they're grown men and share a house.
Yeah, it's nice that he thinks it now.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad their relationship is what it's blooming into something nice. It's good to see that, because again, they're gonna have to rely on each other for a while.
And it's gonna be helpful too, like with this baby, because especially on like the weeks that we have Enzo, like when this baby's here, it is gonna take time away from Rhett, and that's gonna be an adjustment for Rhett. Like he's gonna struggle with that adjustment of like no longer being, the one getting the most attention. But it'll be awesome to be able to have Enzo to like have that bond with Rhett already in place and already established, where Rhett's like, okay, like mom's busy with the baby, but I can play with Enzo. Yeah. So I think that'll be really cool to see.
No, definitely.
What did Enzo say to you tonight? You have to travel this week. What did he tell you?
Oh yeah, Enzo's like, because I've been running around today and I've had to work, and he goes, and I was working out in the garage a little bit,
and Rhett was really cranky today.
Rhett was really cranky, and he goes, you need to stop working so hard. Or no, he goes, I come out because I left you with the baby to put the baby to bed.
Yeah.
And he comes out and he goes, do you get a break now? And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, well, you've worked so hard today. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I kind of get a break today. He's like, well, you should not work so hard tomorrow. And I'm like, well, I got to travel tomorrow, so. And he's like, well, you should definitely not work so hard when you travel tomorrow. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll take your advice on that.
All right.
Maybe I won't work hard tomorrow. I'll just get on this plane and do what I need to do. But it was just kind of, it's nice that he sees that, sees that I do work hard. We work hard, And
I love that he gets excited about things about the house now.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? Mm-hmm. Like
he's always asking if there's something new, like is the pool, how far, did you get anything new with the pool because we're building the pool, or if we got a new piece of furniture.
Like this week when we got him back, we'd gotten the trash pad walkway to the driveway from like the side gate and the side yard done with like the pavers and whatnot. And I was like, Enzo, you gotta see what we got done. And he walks around the corner and he goes, ooh, that looks so good.
All excited about the pavers.
I was like, you are my child. Thank you. Like, I love that he gets, like, when we were at Lowe's today, we walked in and what did he see? It wasn't a plant. It was something.
It wasn't that basket he was carrying around? It was like a basket thing?
No. It was something when we first walked in. Oh, it was some patio furniture. And we walked in and he was all, oh, that's beautiful. He was like, when our pool's done, we're going to get some patio furniture, right? I was like, yeah. He was like, it's going to look so good. I was like, I love that you
are interested
in this stuff and like understand this stuff and are learning. It just shows like a maturity level of him because he's learned these are things that Mom and Cree get excited about. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, I'm going to figure out how to express interest and excitement also in these things. And it's really cool to see that because that is like a huge like developmental milestone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
To realize like I want to find joy in the things that people I love find joy in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fun.
But it was so funny. He walked around the corner of the pavers. Ooh,
it just goes
looks
to show
so
that,
good.
And you know, honestly, like a month ago, he was really annoying, and we were struggling with him. Yeah. He still has his moments, but
we're pulling through
I think
the phase.
It's just milestones. It's phases. Yeah. That's what it is with kids. It's just different phases. Yeah. And you know, right now we're going through Rhett having to grow up and get used to his body, and you know, all the teeth are coming in, so he's, you know, and he's very mobile, so, and he's trying to voice what he wants and needs, and
he squawks.
He squawks instead of, you know, he's constantly, I feel like we have a parakeet, like, in the house. I'm like, holy, you know.
It makes you so, like, frustrated when he yells when he's in his high chair.
Oh, God, it drives me nuts.
Wah, 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 wah.
I'm like, dude, just relax, man. You can see everything. You're chilling. You're safe. You're getting food. You're getting something.
He, like, I think he, like, legit gets concerned, like.
That I'm going to leave him there?
Well, like, that I finished what's on my tray and they're not going to feed me anymore. Because they walked away. But I still want more food. So I'm going to express very loudly that I want more food.
Yeah. So
it was like tonight, like, you were like, are you done? I was like, I don't think he is. I was like, try some, like, grapes or something. Dude ate, what, like 12 grapes?
You'd half a bag of grapes.
Yeah.
Like, holy
He
cow.
was like, nowhere ready to be done eating yet.
No. So, again, it's just phases.
And it's a phase for him. Like, he's more hungry right now.
Mm-hmm. But he's also in pain. So yeah. It's like...
It's very picky on what foods he'll eat the last couple of days.
It's got to be really soft.
Or the grapes, because they're, like, cold and soft.
That's all it is. It's just phases. Constant phases. And, you know... Like me and you, we still go through phases, you know, as adults, and not as much as the kids do, I don't think. I think we're pretty much, this is it, this is what you got, you know, this is where we are, this is who we are.
We go through phases with, like, we were talking about, you know, that this house will be our house for however long this season is supposed to last. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about today that we really love our house, but we would be okay if the season, you know, came to an end of our time in this house and we had to make the decision to sell it at some point. Because we're talking about, you know, economy, market, all that fun stuff. And we talked about the fact that if we ever had to make that tough choice of like, hey, like, let's be smart here and, you know, reduce expenses if in the event one of us for some reason like didn't have a job or something like that, the house would be the first thing that we would say, okay, as long as we're not upside down, like, it makes sense to reduce this expense. Do we love our house? Absolutely. Have we put a lot of work already into it? Absolutely. Would it be hard to walk away from it? Yes and no. You know, I think we are very good about understanding that everything is a phase or a season or a chapter. The phases the kids are going through, you know, our relationship has good times and times of struggle, like all couples. The house is a phase, a chapter. It will have a season. It'll come to close. When we bought the house, we knew it was not we're going to retire and die in this house.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people speak of, like, forever homes. Like, I understand the concept of it, but me and you, like, I think growing up, we moved around so much.
I didn't. I was the opposite.
Well, I moved around a lot when I was younger, so I was constantly moving around. But I'm not stuck in any one place.
Yeah. I think, like, I don't even know if we would ever have a forever home. Like, I'm trying to think, like, if we had unlimited resources and had a beachfront, you know, house somewhere, I think we would still eventually be like, okay, like, burned out on this. Yeah. You know, we've been here for 10 years. Let's get some mountains and trees and snow and...
Yeah, something different.
I think for me, so it's interesting. So I grew up in the same house my entire life. Like, my parents never moved. from 0 to 18. Was in the same house, same bedroom, never switched bedrooms with my sister, like nothing. And I think that is actually what pushed the wanting to like move different places and see different things and experience living in different areas. And because I went, to the same circle of friends. My parents had the same social circle and religious circle, and everything in my life was just the same. Like majority of my life growing up.
Yeah.
And so I think for me that drove that, concept home about like there's a whole big world to explore.
Well, I've moved a lot, but I've always lived here.
Yes.
And I think for me, like...
So you moved in a very small circle.
Yes, and
So I would consider that, like, I don't know if I'd say, like, you moved around a lot as a kid. Like, you stayed within the same 10-mile radius?
I moved houses a lot.
Yeah.
And, I would hope that after this season and this house that we would be moving to a different state eventually. Because, again, I've lived here my entire life, and I love things about it, but I would like to experience something new.
There's a whole big world out there.
Right. So.
Oh, man. Can I tell you, Tahiti airfare was on sale today, and I silently cried inside.
I'm sure you did.
I was like, it's $620.
Can't just pick up and go anymore.
No.
It's too expensive, and you can't get back into the country.
Oh, we were talking about that. So, little side conversation. A person at my work ended up traveling internationally, and they failed a COVID test coming back to the U.S. So it's been 3 weeks, and they haven't been able to get back in the freaking U.S. because they can't leave the country they're at because they can't get on a plane because they're failing COVID tests.
Right.
3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Stuck internationally.
Yeah,
that is like a worst nightmare. Like, A, so expensive.
Yeah, I mean, because who's going to pay for that?
B, like, talk about panicking about your job security. Like, everything. Doesn't matter what company you work for. If you're like, I can't show up for 3 weeks, like, that's terrifying.
Mm-hmm. It's the new norm. I mean, it's not like COVID's going to go away unless they reduce restrictions and stuff like that, which maybe eventually, if they figure out an actual...
Just it makes me nervous to travel internationally currently. Because I would be beside myself, like, if we couldn't get back in the States for some reason.
Yeah, it'd be tough. That's why we don't leave the country.
Right, not currently.
I just travel all over the country.
Yes. You've been traveling a lot.
Yeah, that's another thing. We're hoping that that's just a season, my traveling. And
it's expensive from, like, a nanny care perspective, too.
Yeah, I mean, all of my stuff is paid for through the company, but there's other things that are involved. We have...
You and I stagger our work schedules currently so that we both get an 8-hour, work day in, and we have nanny coverage in, like, the middle of that time frame. And I normally work later than you. You start work earlier than me. Like, we balance our schedule to allow for this to happen and be cost effective for our family.
Right.
So when you travel, all of a sudden I go to needing 9 hours of nanny care a day.
Yep.
And
it gets expensive. That's not reimbursable.
I would say that's not something you can, like, toss back to your boss and be like, hey, this travel costs me money, like, at home. Money. I don't think they understand that concept, and I don't know that they would care even if they did.
No. They didn't make me have kids.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a season thing, and I don't plan on traveling indefinitely. I am so tired of airports. I am so tired of flying on airplanes. I'm tired of all the delayed flights, canceled flights, the full flights, just
rebooked flights.
Full airports. I'm just burnt on it. Like, I don't want to travel anymore. I've just traveled out. Yeah. But here we go. I got to do these quick turnarounds, and
you're traveling
this week, travel next week.
Yeah.
Who knows after that? It's just... But, I mean, this is kind of what we're having to deal with, with the times and, the line of work I'm in. It requires some travel.
Pays the bills.
So...
One day we'll get our backyard done. We'll go swimming, and then you'll feel a little bit better.
Yeah. And all this traveling and all this work is paying off,
You'll be able to see the fruits of your labor.
Exactly. I don't know. We all struggle, so...
It's true. All right, well, I think we're going to call it a night.
Everybody have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. You can check us out at
freezermilk.com
or Instagram.
Freezer Milk Podcast.
Until next week, guys. Thanks.
Don't forget, parenting is a trip. We are all here on the journey with you together. Thanks so much for listening.